Happy St. Patrick's Day, America. Unfortunately, there's no luck of the Irish for the Democrat Party, who seem to have hit shamrock bottom in two new polls. NBC finding 55% of Americans have a negative view of the Democrats, and CNN is echoing that with 54% viewing the party unfavorably. But it looks like President Trump has found the pot of gold. 47 is hitting his highest approval that he's ever had as commander-in-chief. And he's got more Americans than ever saying that the country is headed in the right direction.
First of all, the mood of the country. This really jumped out. We ask folks, is it on the right direction or the wrong direction? That 44% you say right direction, that's up since November. And if that doesn't seem like a lot, the last time it cracked 40%, you got to go back to 2012. The last time it actually hit 44 or higher, January of 2004.
And while President Trump soars with a united Republican Party at his side, the angry Democrats are tearing each other down in a full-blown civil war. The loonies are now making Chuck Schumer the scapegoat after he caved and backed the Republican spending bill.
You know why, Dems suck at messaging? Because they never talking about nothing, and they do nothing.
The idea that Chuck Schumer is the only one that's got a brain in the room and the only one that can think through all of the pros and cons is absolutely ridiculous.
I've never seen this level of volcanic anger at a Democrat ever. I think Chuck Schumer has radically misread the room.
I'm pissed.
Yep.
Okay, so, there's actually little that the Senate minority leader can say, and the 10 Democrats that voted with the Republicans can say, to appease somebody like me. I'm about to change my registration to independent.
Ha! Chris Matthews isn't feeling that thrill up his leg over a familiar face making fun of the Democrats.
They laugh in a kind of a humiliating way about their opponents instead of, you watch Gutfeld at night. All it is making fun of Democrats.
Yeah, if you're triggered, I don't want to hear it. I want to hear the facts.
And meanwhile, the Democrats are doubling down on the radical wing of the party that could sink them for good. AOC is leading the pack of potential leaders of the Democrat Party. All right, Greg, I'll start with you, seeing as Chris Matthews is not too happy with you.
Fan of yours.
He says that you are humiliating the Democrats.
You know, when you lose Chris Matthews,
you lost everything.
It's time to retire, America.
I thought that was a compliment.
No, it wasn't. You know that he'd never heard of the show before until he heard about it on NPR, and now he has to outlaw laughing. Again, I said this before. If you're the neighbor that is living next door to somebody throwing a party, do you call the police on them? Or do you go over there, introduce yourself, say hello, and say, hey, do you think you can turn it down a little? They're the neighbor that calls the police. They want to have fun, but they just can't. I think, what you're seeing, again, is the consequences of identity politics. They thought that expanding the tent by just getting all these identities together, create little boxes, stack them on top of each other, that would work. But what happened is, by adding one box, 3 left. They became a sanctuary for silliness. If you start, we're so inclusive. We believe men should be in girls' locker rooms. We support Hamas supporters. We don't want you to deport gangs in American cities to their countries that they came from. We back every recidivist criminal and every race hoaxer. What happens is, by inclusivity, you excluded the normal people, and they wanted to get the hell out of here. Pretty soon, the face of your party became the hysterical activist screaming on behalf of Hamas in Colombia. So you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of those women who write letters to men on death row, and then they marry one of them. Their maternal compassion gets hijacked. It used to be animal rights, but now it's militants and trans. And when you hear the chants on campus, it's all predominantly female voices. The party has become the troubled, lonely woman who marries a mass murderer, and they're stuck with them. The party's got to realize, they got to realize that compassion is not compassion if it's for the wrong thing. True compassion is telling somebody who's doing a bad thing not to do it, which is what we've been doing before. This is the heart of compassion for the Democratic Party. The Dems no, it's true. We've been telling them, no, stop that. But now they have no plan B, which is ironic.
Okay. All right, Brian, given the apparent disconnect between the public and the positive view of the direction that the country's going and the negative view of the media and the Democrats, is this like signaling like a larger shift in politics in America?
I think so, because the Democrats really have no way of addressing. They're not realizing the Republicans are addressing a problem. I mean, whether you like it or not, Social Security is going to go bankrupt in a few years. Whether you like it or not, the Medicare formula for giving people health care has got to be reformed right away. The deficit is a problem. It's 7.2% of all our revenue. These have to be addressed. It's not my idea. This is an emergency 5-alarm fire. So what the Republicans are doing is saying, okay, this is how we're doing it. This is how we're doing it. And all they're saying is, what a bunch of bad people. And isn't Donald Trump awful? I mean, we have to find a way to build a ship in under 5 years. We can't do that anymore. If Democrats have a better way to do that, let's hear it. So enough of the personality. I know you're obsessed with Donald Trump, but he's gone in 3.5 years, right? 3 years, 3.75 years. You have to have your own plan. And Chuck Schumer, I hate to say it, the New York Post is right. He had no choice. Yep. He had to do this. I mean, for them to unload on this guy when he lost the day the speaker passed the bill on a party line vote, except for Jared Golden and one other voter and Massey. For me, Schumer actually did the right thing. Mitch McConnell would have done the same thing, because you lost on election day. You lost both houses and the White House, and then you lost when Speaker Johnson did his job. So if you went ahead and did what they wanted, Donald Trump would be laughing all weekend.
That's right.
He'd be like, I'm funding everything I want and not funding anything, and it's all your fault, Democrats. So he had no choice.
You know, Dana, Simone Sanders was so disgusted. And, you know, by being angry, it's like, we can say Schumer did the right thing, but it's like she's ignoring the fact that if the Democrats don't like Doge, they were giving Donald Trump the ability to Doge the whole government by saying who is considered an essential worker and who isn't.
Yeah, anger is not going to get you very far, but I do understand one reason why they're angry with Chuck Schumer, because he gave the impression all week long that he was going to vote against it up until Thursday night. And then all of a sudden on Friday, he changes his tune. And I think that was the anger. The smart leadership thing, leader position should have been, we actually don't have the votes, guys. And it could be really bad for us. We are going to live to fight another day. Stick with me on this one. When they try to pass all these tax cuts for the rich, then we will go en masse. But right now, this is not the fight that we need. He didn't do any of that because he can't do any of that. And the sad thing is, for the Democrats, it's very grim when Chuck Schumer is your voice of reason. Yeah. Things are so bad for them that he wrote a book about anti-Semitism that he cannot promote. It comes out tomorrow. He's canceled the entire book tour, not because the right's going to protest him, but because he was going to get protested on the left. And so therefore, you can't even talk about anti-Semitism. Plus, the other thing is, when you look at the media that we showed here, like I would say liberal leaning, but even the Democrats on the media panels, they seem to look at all of this polling that's devastating for Democrats and say, yep, we're exactly right in all of our positions. And then they continue to do the same thing over and over again. Chris Murphy was on TV saying, the polling shows we need to fight Trump harder. He didn't say fight him smarter. He said just fight them harder.
Yeah. You know, the interesting thing is, one of the things that we saw today is that AOC is kind of leading the pack in terms of who is the leader of the Democrat Party. I mean, you know, what does she have to do, I mean, to actually get the public trust back in the Democrat Party?
Well, I think that what you're seeing in AOC being the leader on that poll, and it was only by 1 percentage point, is that Democrats are desperate for somebody who has fight in them. They don't actually really care what their politics are. And that was the most interesting finding from the NBC poll this weekend. So in April 2017, when Trump had just come in for the first time, 59% of Democrats wanted their party to work with Trump. Only 33% said stick to your positions, even if that means that Washington doesn't work. Now 65% want Democrats to stick to their positions, even if they don't accomplish things, because they want some pushback. And that is where Chuck Schumer failed in this. We have known that March 14th was the day that we were going to have to vote on this bill for months. There was not enough preparation getting to this point. They could have branded whatever the CR was going to look like. They could have said, you know what this is? This is going to be Doge on steroids, right? They didn't do that. And then on top of it, they didn't propose their own CR. You could have come out and said, this is what we want to bring to the table. These are our priorities. It should be bipartisan to keep the government open, let's do X, Y, and Z, or these are the amendments that we have to have. The Republicans have done that successfully before. They did in 2021. They filibustered, and they got some of what they wanted. You're not in control, so it's not going to be perfect. But I really think it's about being a fighter and showing that you're not just going to capitulate to whatever they want. And yeah, of course, it's a good thing for Trump if he has this 47% approval, highest, but also his disapproval is the highest he's ever had in the NBC poll as well, at 51%. It's the highest percentage of people who think that their business outcome for the next year, it's at the highest level since 1980. He's underwater on every category except handling immigration. There are openings for Democrats to be doing well at this moment, and we're up on the generic ballot. If Trump's so great, then why do you want Democrats to control Congress?
The problem is that the Democrats are suffering from Trump derangement syndrome.
Well, that's the D
and
block.
So they can't, I know that, but they
How about
can't
those
even
egg
get
prices, huh? Gas
They're
prices,
down
Jessica.
$3.50 a dozen.
Loading on eggs all weekend.
I know.
I ate eggs all weekend.
You did?
Yeah.
Up
Basically
next.
free.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.